One. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our fourth episode of the podcast of the Long Lost Explorer podcast. Today we have Daniel Bell here. Daniel Bell has a lot of background in Vietnam. His mother has some crazy stories about how she escaped from there during the whole communist era. And we have Riley here as well, which is Daniel's dog, so you'll probably be hearing the dog in the background as well. So how are you doing, man?
Yeah, doing great.
Cheers.
Cheers, huh?
Coffee and a Truly. So, to kind of talk about your mom a little bit. How did your give the whole story about your mom and how she escaped from there? I know she went to jail one time too.
Yeah. So, back during the whole communist era, her and her family were all trying to escape the country, and they each had their own different methods of leaving the country. Some on like boats, some with coyotes, some just on an airplane because they got good setups. But with my mom specifically, it was her and two of her sisters. They met up with a coyote to escape on a boat to Malaysia. And yeah, the first time they were trying to escape, they were put in the engine bay of like a tugboat. And there's not much oxygen in there. It's like full of just smog. It's just not very good conditions for breathing.
Do you think people died when they were doing that?
I would say no, but I mean, to be honest, there must have been a lot of people escaping, so there's no possible way. I'm sure people definitely got sick, but yeah, I know my mom and her sisters were all fine. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is fine or anything like that, but
yeah,
it's just like hard to breathe and whatnot.
Yeah.
The first time they did get caught, and they were placed in prison for a year, I want to say. And like since then, yeah, my mom, she just told me like there's a lot of good habits that she picked up, like how to like eat food with just salt and pepper, and that's it. Or like just eat whatever you can of a fish, keep your trash bags or plastic bags as trash. Pretty much just how to be as conservative as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second time, it was pretty recent after she got out of prison. But yeah, she made her way to Malaysia, stayed there for a few months, and then flew to the U.S. To Minnesota.
Was that kind of like a main hub where they went to? Was Malaysia? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It was nearby and just out of communist rule. Yeah.
Okay. And you also that restaurant that we used to go to when we were younger, down the road. Your mom escaped with him, or
yeah. So I love that story because it's just like a whole small world kind of thing. So,
yeah.
When we moved to Seattle back when I was 10 or so, when I was 16, like I just took my mom to this pho restaurant. And I said, yeah, this place is really good. The guy there is really nice. And then I brought my mom there, and she knew the owner. She escaped on the boat with them.
Did they ever talk, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
They definitely talked. 2 years ago, they had a gathering of all the people that were involved in their escape. So the woman that was responsible for setting up whatever with the coyote was there. All the people they escaped with were there. It was just crazy on like how they kind of converged or met up again. Just a reunion 40 years later, and just be happy, be merry, be like, oh man, this is what I've done with my life.
Yeah,
things like that.
And how do you know how the guy became a coyote? Was he one? Because you hear coyotes like down in Mexico and stuff like that. They're usually kind of bad people that are just trying to escape.
The term coyote does come with a stigma, just because you're doing a really sneaky activity.
Yeah.
And people's lives are in your hand, and there have been a handful of people that just take advantage of that, or they extort their families for more and more money. And it's just, this guy, he was really down to earth. Like, he had a family, he was caring, but I didn't know him 40 years ago, so
yeah,
who knows? But I mean, they kept in contact for all this time, so he must have been good.
Yeah. Um, um, so they went down to Malaysia and then they made it down to California.
So they went to Malaysia and then they went to Minnesota, and then from there, that's where the rest of my family members or my mom's siblings all met up.
Mm-hmm.
They pretty much started up a nightclub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is up with like the Vietnamese and or just kind of the Asian cultures and like nightclubs? I feel like it just for that culture especially, it's a huge thing.
I'm not sure. I would just say it's like just the Asian culture. I mean, even a lot of countries in Europe and Asia, they are pretty focused on having clubs. It's just a nightlife.
Yeah.
Music, drinks,
I
friends.
just feel like the Asian ones are just at a completely different level. Though. I feel like you guys have mastered it.
Yeah. I the last few times I've been to Vietnam, I've gone to clubs, and oh my gosh, they're just absolutely nuts and crazy, and just it's not like there's a lot of drugs going on. It's just like a lot of fun just happening, like lights, music, people.
Yeah, it just seems like the energy's higher, like compared to like some of the clubs I've been here. I'm not much of a club goer just because I don't know, my personality doesn't really reflect I'm just like a lot of the other people that go and stuff. I feel like it's a little overwhelming, especially with like the loud music and everything. But I went to a few over in China and they were just, I don't know, there was just something a little different about it that was just more amazing. And I can't put my finger on it,
Think of it this way. When you have more rules to follow at a club,
yeah,
then those rules want to be broken.
I see.
So, like, let's just say I was at a club in, like, Hanoi, Vietnam, like the northern part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went there with a few friends, and they were just showing me a good time. And I was asking about one of the servers. I thought she was a server, but she's, like, sitting with all the customers and whatnot. I'm like, is she a server or, what is she? Because she's like very dressed promiscuously, like
yeah,
you want to be talking to her. But he's telling me, oh yeah, that's the PR girl, and I'm like, PR? She's like, yeah, public relations girl.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking like
going to Thailand. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So describe what a PR girl is.
So it's pretty much, I would say, a very good-looking friend that's associated to you because of the proximity of your body and that nightclub.
Yeah, I feel like you're being a little PG with it.
I am being very PG with it.
So my understanding of the PR girls. So when I was in Walking Street over in Thailand, there was a bar. It was open. It was about 4:30 or something like that. And there's probably about 100 girls in this club, and it's deep too. It's wide and it's deep, and everything's open from the street so you can see it. And so I start talking to a few of them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're PR girls, but we're also freelancers." And I'm like, you hear freelancers here in America, and you think to yourself, "Oh, okay, they're just operating on a 1099, and they're yeah, they just have to pay their own taxes and stuff like that." No, a freelancer is another word for a prostitute over there.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying all PR girls there are prostitutes necessarily, but a lot of the PR girls, are. And
yeah, I don't really know how to weigh the ethics of the way the nightclubs are in Southeast Asia.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say they were a lot looser than compared to the ones in the US.
Even the bartenders too, which I noticed as well. A lot of the bartenders as well are, they're drinking with the people.
Yep.
And if you do that in America, that's you'll get fired on the spot for that.
Dude, in Vietnam, it's a requirement to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think some of the people with the strongest livers in the world are bartenders in like Vietnam and Southeast Asia, because they drink and party every night with them, and they probably get tipped a lot more too. And of course, they want to get a little looser when it comes to having the liquid courage to talk to a lot of these foreigners and flirt with them and get a bunch of the tips and stuff. And it works. It worked for me when I was actually over in China, which is obviously more north, but it worked. And I'm just like, I'm having a great time with you. We're just drinking, like having a great time. And so screw it. I'm going to buy you a drink and throw you an extra few bucks because it's awesome.
Dude, I gotta say, so on the public front-facing interactions with those PR girls, it's nice to have, just a beautiful girl around.
Of course.
Pour your beers when you're running low or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or light your cigarette when you want a cigarette.
Yeah.
And like I remember one girl, she was just we just asked her to come join us. Like, we weren't trying to
just hang
hire
out.
her or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much had her hang out. And I remember she was taking shots with us. And this girl was just completely unfazed by like vodka or whiskey or cognac, whatever it was. She's like, just drink it. She's like looking around. It's like, okay, well, how many calories was that?
Yeah. And I really wonder why I kind of, excuse you, Riley. I really wonder why that, America isn't really like that. Like, why do they have more stricter guidelines when it comes to the bartenders here versus like the bartenders in Asia and a lot of the other countries as well?
Mainly to follow the laws that were set forward by the government or whatever state.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like to have a nightclub or bar in Vietnam, the owners of the place, they're not like, charitable people or anything like that. They're like, well, bring in money, bring in cute girls.
Whatever means necessary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, I'm not saying that there's no laws or anything like that, but it's just more from the point of view of the owner compared to the point of view of the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like maybe Reno or Vegas might get a little close to that, but there's no comparison to it. And it's fun. I mean, I feel like in some weird ways, and there's probably a lot of horror stories and stuff, but it works. It kind of works. You know, it's like I'm more apt to go there, not just because like I'm going to like try and maybe buy a girl or anything like that. It just seems like everything's a little bit looser. Everybody's a little bit more relaxed, and everybody is just having a good time, and there's not a lot of worries. Now, if you're getting shit-faced drunk and you're trying to serve people and stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're gradually just taking a couple shots and stuff, I mean, I was a bartender. I was take a couple shots and drink a little bit of beer and just kind of go, and it was fine. But I know everybody's different, and I feel like we do have. I don't think we necessarily have stricter laws, but we rule down on the laws a lot more than those other countries, because I feel like it's kind of a circus down. I haven't been to Vietnam yet, but like just Thailand, for example, like it's hard to rain down on it, and I also think the government just kind of turns a blind eye to it as well.
Yeah, or they just ask for some money, then they will turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing I didn't like too much about Vietnam. Just the richest district in Saigon.
Where's that? What would you call it, or what's the geographic location of it?
Saigon's so big, and just when you're navigating through it, you're just kind of lost. Mm-hmm. I do want to say it's one of the newer districts that were made within 10 years.
Yeah.
But like these are like multi-million-dollar homes and whatnot, and like 90% of the occupants of that like very nice district they work in the government pretty much, or they're like at border control or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just kind of crazy on how corrupted the government is over there. Let's just say like my family were trying to get into the country, right? But we brought a few iPads, or like or iPhones or whatever. They would see that, and then they like tell us that we need to pay a tax for bringing those devices in the country. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And this is the part where I'm kind of thankful that I don't look Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when they talk to me, they just think, oh, okay, I'm American.
Yeah.
Can I trick this person? No, I can't. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They just wave me off. Just, all right, you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed because I looked up the government structure. It is a socialistic country being led by a communist party over there, and I noticed that more of the higher government controlled countries, they have a lot of things like that where it's not, streamlined, everybody's just following the rules. It's basically just like, hey, throw me a few bucks and I'll look the other way.
Yeah.
And what's sad is, and we'll definitely get into it too, that a lot of the countries in Southeast Asia is very much like that. If you have enough money, you can almost get away with murder, essentially.
Yeah,
and
I could see that.
and what one thing that is surprising me though is how are they not getting hit by COVID-19 that hard? Is it because it's warm?
So there's a few things I was thinking about regarding that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like, one, are they not actually reporting their numbers the same way we do?
Definitely
if someone dies from a cardiovascular disease,
mm-hmm.
but they also had COVID or
mm-hmm.
coronavirus, like how did they report that?
Yeah.
So they may just report it differently. And then my other thought about it was that if you're riding around in Saigon, like they usually ride around mopeds, right?
Yeah.
And there's a crap ton of just traffic. So everyone puts on these masks anyways
mm-hmm.
to protect, all the dirt and smog and whatever building up in their nose.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the one practice. Maybe it's just more normal to wear masks over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the cases right now. 420 confirmed. Nice. 365 recovered and no deaths.
Yep.
So, yeah, I kind of go back and forth a little bit because I know they're probably one thing about Vietnamese the Vietnamese economy is that their economy is basically reliant upon travel and tourism. So do you think that they're incentivized to just say, no, we're fine, you can come over here and stuff like that, so they can get, more of the richer countries or more people to travel to that area? I feel like it is definitely incentivized by that.
I'm sure. I mean, very sure that is true. Maybe there is like a percentage of businesses that do rely on things like that.
Yeah. Well, they do have a lot of textile export as well.
That too. I could totally agree with that.
Yeah, because one thing I learned in Thailand, and I feel like they're pretty close. All the examples I know pretty much come from Thailand, and they're in the same geographic location. So I feel like a lot of the things mirror from over there. But one thing, one kind of unspoken rule is, don't fuck with tourists. And I feel like that's why it's safe, because overall I think it is kind of dangerous to go down there. But if you're a tourist, you do kind of have this like blanket immunity when it comes to it, because they don't want you to get hurt, because it will be reported on the news, and then people will get scared and not go there, and it will crash their economy. And there was a death a few years back, and it showed basically that their economy tanked for a few months or maybe up to a year, because a few people got murdered. It was like a family that got murdered on a wedding. And yeah, the culture just says, don't fuck with them. So I believe that it's open because of it. So
yeah.
Hi, Riley. The dog's
Riley's
just kind of
crazy.
going off right now. I know. Yeah, the dog kind of relaxed a little bit. But kind of going back to just kind of the relaxed laws as well, is I'm assuming prostitution is pretty big.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in some of the more beach-looking cities.
So, what, Hanoi?
Or
no, Hanoi.
I'd say it's more southern part of the coast of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly where Nha Trang is.
Yeah,
but
Netrag.
yeah, it's pretty much imagine like Miami, but in Vietnam.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's just like there's a really big boardwalk that goes throughout the city. Everyone's on it. There's a few nightclubs there. There's a night market.
Yeah.
Lots of people just walking around, tanning, etc.
Do they have a walking street over there?
I
You know what I'm
think-
talking about. It's like the red light district.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's what they call in Thailand, but I
Yeah,
don't know if it's
totally.
called something different. Yeah, that was the craziest thing that I saw, because I mean, it was like normal. That's, you know, kind of what you expected. But the funniest thing was that everything was segregated. So you had white, Russian, or, you know, Russian, black, Indian, all these brothels, and right directly above it, you have all these hotels you could rent out for like an hour.
Yep.
And things like that. And so you probably saw the same thing.
I
as
have
well.
seen the same thing.
And of course the massages. There's a massage parlor every block.
So, okay, they may say they offer massages, but it's not for massages. Like, I don't like. They'll give you massage, but it's like the shittiest massage you'll ever have in your life.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Like-
In Thailand, they gave me awesome Thai massages, but I don't know if that's just kind of a different thing. But
Maybe you went to like a legit place, but
yeah.
in like Nha Trang, there's literally, you're walking down the street, right? And you're just
Mhm.
minding your business, enjoying the sun. And I guarantee you, like within 20 minutes, 30 people will drive by you, notice you're American, be like, hey, you want a massage? Get on my bike.
Do they have the tuk-tuks over there? You
What
know,
are
like the
tuk-tuks?
little motorcycle thing with like the carriage in the back that people ride on?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what they call it in Thailand, but I don't know if it was like called something different. And yeah, that they have a thing. It's like a scam type of thing, and it's basically a connection, a web or a chain or whatever. It's not. It's kind of like the Thai gem scam, but basically one person hypes up one thing, passes it off. Just they drop you off, like, let's just say in a random location, and then there's another mark there that will kind of keep propping up this lie or just kind of excite you more, because if you go to different locations and you have the same people saying the same thing and it sounds awesome or whatever, then they kind of bounce you around these places, and then they basically kind of trap/rip you off. They don't trap you like you're in danger, but they make you spend a lot of money on something that you kind of look back and wish you didn't do. You've been a victim?
No, I've not, and I'm pretty happy about that. I've never heard about it, and I've never experienced it. I'm happy that it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, but that's one thing that they do, is they have a little web connection to rip off the tourists, essentially. You know, just like the
Yeah.
kind of ignorant tourists and stuff.
Yeah, it's just when you're in another country, you don't really speak the language that well. You're pretty much a vulnerable money bag to
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
But you notice a lot of the foreigners that come here, though, like, we just treat them nicely, and we just want to show them a good time when we want to become friends with them. Like, I can't imagine a lot of Americans just bring foreigners in from different countries to America
Yeah.
and ripping them off. We would think they were the worst people alive.
I mean, okay, in a sense, maybe. If you think about it, let's say I have a house that I'm renting out nearby a college, right? And if there's someone
That is true.
from like China or something like that, their family is loaded, right?
Yeah.
And then their kid just wants a place to stay that's
Near
you
the
know,
college.
a great location or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like, people will charge a crap ton of money for one of those rooms. For like, let's just say like you take a room, you put a divider in it, and you charge two people for
Yeah.
each partition.
And it's like well over $1,000 or something like that.
One-
Yeah.
One of my buddies from Vietnam, he was staying in like a Harry Potter closet, and they were charging him $800 a month. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Okay, well, you know what? I take it back. The landlords are a bunch of fucking assholes. No, it is true. You know, and me going to college as well, you see they will prop up the price. And I mean, the city I was in, it was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it felt like it was close to Seattle. I mean, and which is extremely high over there, because if you go the next town over, it's probably the price is reduced by 60-70%.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is a good point. That's one thing that I don't really think about
But
as well. But
normally, like, we're not just gonna try to scam foreigners like on the street or anything like that. We just do it more a more business approach.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, the business approach as well. Yeah, I mean, that is true. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm talking more because we just want to. I think if anything, we're just kind of more interested. We're just like, oh wow, especially if
Yeah.
it's a girl. Every guy is just gonna be like, oh, there's a foreigner. Let's just get on it.
Where's that girl from? She's from Taiwan.
Oh
damn.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, check out my new girl from Taiwan. And oh yeah, it's crazy that they get on. They all just kind of like jump on it and stuff. So like, yeah, that's a thing I noticed definitely in Seattle as well. You said you kind of wanted to talk, kind of going back into the prostitution. You said you wanted to talk about sex trafficking and stuff. Is it pretty prevalent over there?
Yeah. So my friends over there say it happens a lot. Not so much in the southern part of Vietnam, but like the northern part.
Is there a cultural divide between the north and south?
Yeah.
And why is that? Is it because of the war?
I think it's just proximity to China.
Okay.
So let's just say you listen to someone speak Vietnamese in southern Vietnam. To me, it sounds more normal because my family all spoke southern
Yeah.
with a southern dialect. But the more north you go, like there's Hue, which is like the kind of like center of Vietnam. Like they're mountain people. Of course, they sound like
Very indigenous.
very indigenous, right?
Yeah.
But then you go like towards Hanoi and like the northern part of the country, and they start sounding a bit more Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Where just pronunciations are just more similar, but at the same time, they really hate Chinese people. Even though to me, they sound a lot more like they're Chinese.
Yeah. And so we're it is a big issue over there.
Yeah. I kind of think the reason for that is because so let's just say China, they had their you can only have 2 kids max, whatever rule.
Yeah.
And so when picking out, which child I want to keep, do you want a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
And most of those families decided, yeah, I want a boy. And the thing is that when you keep on doing that for 20 years, everyone has boys. There's no girls.
Oh.
And so a lot of those families end up resorting to, okay, hey, let's go kidnap or go buy a girl and have my son marry them so we can continue our lineage.
Wow.
And so since the northern part of Vietnam is just, it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy for them to pick up a girl. They look Chinese. You can't really tell a difference.
Yeah, you said they're half Chinese or Vietnamese or like Chinese and French, right?
Like
Or no, excuse me, the Vietnamese are like
the
half
culture?
or yeah, don't they have like a French background?
So they descended from China.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been colonies of several other countries. So they've been a French colony at once, Portuguese colony, which they changed the lettering, the way they write everything down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So the Chinese go down, and then they just basically buy or pick up a girl from the northern side.
Yep.
So the northern side is basically more of the hot spot of trafficking and basically
Yeah, there's a few documentaries actually.
Really?
Just covering that. Yeah, I was watching one, and it's kind of crazy. On like, they have a girl just like locked up in their house, like not to like chains or anything like that. Like she looks pretty all the time, but they're like forced to marry the son. They're forced to pose for wedding photos, and then forced to have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're not happy. They're kidnapped.
No, of course, yeah.
And it's just kind of crazy on like how pretty much the result of the decision to lower
the birth rates of China. Or you're saying, right?
I'm sorry, what?
You said lower the birth rates of China.
Yeah, pretty much just population control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, the result
so
of
now
that.
you have a bunch of horny Chinese guys just going out and just
pretty much. Yeah, dude.
And I'm assuming they probably do it in other countries as well, like Laos. Or do they like to pick Vietnam just because they're whiter?
I think so. Because
they
their
reflect.
skin tone is generally
because the Laos and Thai are a lot more brown than the Vietnamese.
I haven't heard of it. Most of the documentaries I watched were just focused on Vietnam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I could definitely see that because they are pretty I feel like they are that culture is pretty strict on their cultural identity and look and stuff. And white is beautiful as well.
Yeah, yeah, just being pale, not pale, fair skinned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and yeah, that's a sign of beauty over in Vietnam as well.
yeah.
Is there an attraction to white American males because of this? You think? Or
Maybe. I'm not sure. So the whole reason I know for beauty stems from on how fair someone's skin is like if I'm super tan and I'm with those other people, they know that I work in the sun. Like I'm a
oh, it's a sign of poverty.
yeah, sign of poverty. Pretty much just in the sun all day.
Gotcha. But if you
trying
have
to
this
make ends
nice
meet.
desk job, you're just getting the lack of vitamin D and stuff. That is beautiful.
I
is what
guess
you're
so.
saying.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because it's hot over there. It's very hot.
Oh yeah. No. It's if you want a tan, you want to go over there.
Yeah, I know, and that's what blows my mind because I see these very very pale, Vietnamese girls or men and women,
Yeah.
and it kind of blows my mind. I'm like, you are in like one of the hottest, like
Yeah.
areas
Dude,
imaginable.
Not only that, they're wearing like sweatshirts.
Yeah, they wear sweatshirt. They wear the hottest clothing, and I feel like I would get a heat stroke if I lived their life. And they walk
Yeah.
everywhere, and they're skinny, they're good looking. They probably are just solid muscle because of just the amount they
I
walk.
think it's just skin and bones.
Yeah, it's just just very good cardio or whatever it is. But yeah, that is kind of weird. But I do see now that they have a motivation to stay out of the sun and just kind of keep themselves pale. And yeah, I don't know where that stems from. Why? I mean, obviously it's like kind of a class thing as well. But like, where did it start? You're like, white is.
I guess it's like, so going back to whatever ancient era, usually the royalty, they're always like taken care of. They're always in shade. They're fat.
Yeah.
It's like those are signs that this person is beautiful because they're rich or they're able to take care of themselves, their family. They don't go hungry. They're not poor.
Yeah.
And
So if you're a fat white man, travel to Vietnam is what you're saying.
yeah, you can easily get a wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they just focus on the economics of things.
Yeah.
Do you think that culture down there, they believe or they see that more than looks? They look at more of the economic or the financial, stability of a person rather than the looks.
I mean, of course, even like now, having that knowledge of someone's career security is always a plus.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people, when they date, they just date for looks or date for.
Yeah. You feel like it's pretty much the same, like it would be in America?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a lot of commercialism over there where they kind of like sell beauty products and whatnot. I mean, that's just the way the world is going to be today.
Yeah, definitely. Now, is this more of a thing in northern Vietnam versus southern Vietnam?
No.
It's pretty much all over?
It's pretty much all over.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is Saigon? How do you believe the South and North, besides like language and stuff like that, is divided? Do you feel like it is pretty the same? Do you feel like you're in a different place when you go up to the more north versus like Saigon? Or?
Yeah. I'd say they vary in a lot of different things. So let's just say if I'm staying at a friend's house in Saigon or just the southern part of Vietnam, houses over there are built higher up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of narrow when you're walking through them, right? Whereas I go to northern Vietnam, like people actually have houses over there.
Yeah.
Like I don't see any ramblers or anything like that, but they're like pretty decently shaped houses compared to the houses over here in the U.S.
I see. What do you think? What do you think's a more fun place to go, the north or south? Where do you have?
South is definitely more fun, in my opinion.
Why is that?
So Saigon is such a big city, and with such a big city, there's so many different things you can do. You can, go, eat some street food or something like that. Go to a nice restaurant. Go get a spa. Hell, go to a club. I remember my favorite thing to do. It was like the first night I stayed in Saigon. This last trip over there. My mom just told me to take a taxi, go meet up at the Saigon Trade Center, and go to the roof. There's a few people up there waiting for you. And I get up there, and it's this like Heineken sponsored like party going on. There's glow sticks everywhere. I walked like in 3 steps in, like someone just gave me a beer. I'm just having a good time, you know. It's like overseeing like the entire district that was in of Saigon. It's just amazing and fun. It's like I'm exhausted from this long ass flight. This old 80-year-old woman was coughing behind me.
Yeah,
I'm like, just I need to breathe. But then
she's probably patient 0 for the coronavirus.
Oh man, I really hope not.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, you in the Southeast Asian countries, especially, the weather is generally always good. Do you guys have like monsoons or like really heavy rains down over there?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a monsoon season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, regardless of what part of the country.
And that usually is when, do you think?
I'm not sure exactly. I've never actually been there during one of those seasons.
Yeah.
Usually, all tourists kind of tend to stay away during that time of year.
Yeah. Can you imagine flying in one of those? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, like come back home with some sort of disease or pneumonia or dysentery.
Yeah. And your mother lived in a village. It looks like kind of more out west, like heading towards Cambodia.
Yeah, my mom, she was born and raised in a village on the southern part of Vietnam that's kind of close to the Cambodian border and along that Cambodian river or Cambodia River.
Yeah.
Yeah, the town is called Toi San. And my mom was actually named, like her name is Toi. She was named after that city.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, how is it like going from Saigon to one of the small villages? I'm assuming your mom lived in kind of more of a poorer village.
Yeah. So the roads are kind of rough once you get out into the country. But I love going to the village and everything like that. You know, the trip is fine except for one thing. The ferries, dude. The ferries are the most sketchiest place in Vietnam. Like, you can get mugged and it'll be fine. Like, this is like nothing in comparison to that. But when you go to the ferries, there's so many panhandlers out there.
Oh, jeez.
And it's like they swarm your car with just like knocking on it. People are like disfigured. Like this one dude's on like a rolling board and his legs like it looks like it's disconnected, like dislocated from his body. He's like wrapping around his shoulders like he's carrying a backpack. I'm like,
jeez.
Oh my god. This one guy, like my dad was just walking. This one guy was just drunk and filthy, like his hands were covered in dirt or oil or something like that.
Yeah.
He went up to my dad, grabbed him by the shirt, and was like yelling at him to give him some money. And I'm like just thinking like, man, I am about to sock some motherfucker, break his jaw because he doesn't have the proper nutrients.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do stuff like that.
Yeah. And there is a lot of poverty down there.
Yeah, I definitely would say yeah.
Why the ferries? Does it just go out to the islands and that's where the rich people go?
I think it's just because it's a good place with foot traffic that's not monitored by any like police force.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the ferry ride's not the sketchy part. It's just the homelessness.
It's pretty much getting to the ferries like the sketchiest part.
Yeah. And so traveling from Saigon to like your mom's town and stuff, like how does it feel different? Like what do you feel like the change in experience is once you go to?
It's a lot less people.
A lot less people.
Yeah.
Is it more humble?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Whenever I go visit the hometown, like, sure, there's not too much to do. There's no clubs or bars to go to, but I mean, we invite some friends over in the neighborhood. You know, drink, eat together. And then in the morning when I'm hungover as fuck, just go right across the street, sit next to the river, and just order like 10 coffees until I'm feeling better.
Yeah, the Thai coffee I heard is amazing over there. And I heard the amount of caffeine in there is ridiculous.
Yeah. They have the Vietnamese coffee over there, and oh my god, it's strong and that's what you need. Like if you're going for something that's like really rich in taste, like sweetness and whatever, yeah, you're not gonna get it there.
Yeah.
You're just getting straight up caffeine with condensed milk. It's sweet enough. Throw some ice in it, you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've just been reading too. They're like, hey, coffee drinkers, do you drink like 5 or 6 coffees a day? Well, try one like Vietnamese coffee or something like that. And and the prices down there are pretty cheap. Like they're, what were you saying, like 15 cents or something like that?
So last I was there, one coffee was about 50,000 dong, and $1 is worth 220,000.
Oh God, they're hyperinflated.
Oh, very.
Over there. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's very cheap, very cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so what would a normal like Airbnb or like a night be over there for, just like maybe 1 or 2 people? Like, how cheap is it, you think?
I want to say it's about $15 a night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's wrong, Riley? Something caught our attention.
Yeah. And the drinks as well, I'm assuming, are pretty cheap.
So beer, yes, but like liquor, no. Like liquor pretty much stays about the same price, I want to say.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit cheaper, but one thing I noticed, this last trip I went with my buddy Leon, we brought some of our own alcohol from the U.S. One of them was Grey Goose.
Mm-hmm.
So we took a couple shots before we went out on the town, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Grey Goose, just drink it. You're good to go, Daniel. But then we went out to a club, and we ordered Grey Goose, 2 shots each. And it's like isopropyl going down my throat. Like, it burns.
Oh,
like,
God.
I don't know what they do to it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's what I heard. It's pretty unregulated when it comes to the liquor down over there. And they just fucking just pour in whatever. You probably were drinking isopropyl or, something like that.
It's like 50% isopropyl, 50%, Polish vodka.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also heard too that the alcohol there can vary. So if you're drinking something that's supposed to be 40% or 80 proof, you won't get that sometimes. Sometimes you'll get, something a lot more or a lot less, or, something crazy.
I will say, being in Vietnam, hard alcohol gets consumed quicker than, kids wanting a Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you bring alcohol and everyone's going to drink some and it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just so rare to come by. Riley. Oh, sorry.
No, you're free.
Riley.
Come on. There you go. There's a treat.
Okay.
And the food there, I've obviously had your mother's cooking, and I've had your family's cooking in general and stuff. The food over there is just amazing.
It is great. The one thing I like the most about eating in the Southeast Asian countries is that compared to the U.S., their portion sizes are way smaller.
In the South?
In Vietnam.
Oh, just in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, like, yes, you're paying less, and you also get a smaller amount, but let's just say you go to a restaurant here, right? And you go to Azteca or something like that, and you get, like, this giant freaking plate, and you pay $20 for it, and there's no way you can finish it.
Yeah.
And even if you do, like, you've had so much of this dish, your taste for it just kind of gets bland.
Yeah.
Because you've just...
You don't want to eat for the rest of the day, and you just like feel like crap and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's this one famous restaurant in Saigon called Ngon, which means delicious, right? And it's pretty much like this small little villa, and they converted it into a restaurant. So like the outside courtyard surrounds the main house, and so on the outside courtyard, it's just like a small little market. You walk through there, you order some like berries or something like that, some fruit, some snacks, pretty good, like just hand food. But when you go inside, each one of the different rooms is a sit down area, whatever. They'll bring food out to you, and the menu was like the cheapest menu I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's like 50 cents for a bowl of pho.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, So I order it, right? And it's just this tiny bowl.
Yeah.
It's like I can breathe it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was pretty happy with that because instead of devoting my meal to just one dish, since it's so small, I order like 3 different ones. I get to try 3 different things in one sitting. And yeah, it's just things like that I just really appreciate because you can get the whole experience without engorging yourself.
Yeah. Do you feel like there are different types of cultures of dishes when it comes to food in different regions of the area?
Yeah. I would say like the southern part of Vietnam is more closely related to like Cambodian food.
Oh, okay.
And then the northern part is more Chinese or French kind of style.
Oh, okay. What would be some like good examples of, or I guess you could just go by region or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
So let's just say like the northern part, they're known for this one meat pastry called pâté chaud. The way they spell it looks nothing like French.
oh yeah.
but you know, it's pâté in French being like the kind of meat that they use or the spread that they put on there. Pretty good. It's definitely a French affected or French influenced dish. This is other dish in like the center of Vietnam or the more middle of it in Hue. It's called my pronunciation sucks, by the way, so everyone else that wants to critique me out there,
there's a bunch of Vietnamese people like, this guy's fucking stupid.
What an idiot. It's called bún bò Hue, which is like beef noodle, kind of like, how do I explain it? It's a spicy beef broth, and there's a lot of braised meats inside of it. Yeah, and then of course in China, you know that braised beef soup that they have is like super good. Yeah, so it's pretty close tasting to that, except that there's like this hint of refreshing lemongrass taste in it. And it's just completely different experience, but you can definitely see where it comes from or what it's closely related to. And then for Cambodian food, I want to say the use of like fish sauce, vegetables. Yeah. So like the vermicelli noodle dishes, I want to say those are pretty closely influenced to Cambodia.
What's that little pork meat strip dish with the vegetables that you make? You know what I'm talking about? The one where you put in the oven, you cut in slices.
Oh, God. I hate pronouncing that. You know, my Vietnamese pronunciation is like closely... well, my Vietnamese has been called cute. Yeah. So it's like a 2-year-old trying to say spaghettis, paschettis. Like, but... Oh, that's Nam Nuong?
Nam Nuong?
Yeah, so it's just marinated pork that's grilled, and then you can eat it a various number of ways, either like on noodles or roll in a rice paper or something like that.
What do you think that that influence comes from, like, geographically?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I don't care. I want it in my stomach. It's super good.
Yeah, Nam Nuong is probably one of the most favorite dishes that you make, besides Tom Yum. But I don't even know if is that Vietnamese.
Tom Yum is Thai.
It's just Thai. Yeah. I don't know if you guys had like kind of a Vietnamese version of it or something like that.
You kind of do, but it's nowhere near as flavorful compared to Tom Yum. Because Tom Yum, they use like a lot of kaffir leaves or lime leaves or whatever. Yeah. And that taste is just great and wonderful and everything. But in Vietnam, they have like a kind of sour soup that's made from a tamarind base. So it's, I mean, you can say, yeah, we have a sour dish, but it's not made the same way. Yeah.
So what are some of the craziest experiences that you've had over in Vietnam?
There's been a few. A lot of them involving...
publicly disclose.
Huh?
That you could publicly disclose.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a good one.
I think Leon one is pretty funny, but it's just kind of short.
Leon, traveling with him is both terrible and great at the same time.
Yeah.
So, whenever we travel to Vietnam, like we always spend like 2 days in one place, then move to another place 2 days, and then move.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, it seems like you've hit a lot of spots, even though is the travel time between the places pretty short? It's kind of this weird S shape.
it can be. We didn't necessarily, follow in order to. Like sometimes there's some back and forward,
Yeah.
but crap, where was I?
Crazy stories.
Oh, okay. Trying to think of some really good appropriate ones. Yeah, I would say the ferries is definitely a scary experience. There was this one time that my cousins and I, we were at the home village, right? And we're trying to just have fun. So we're like kicking a ball or something like that, or just boxing on the rooftops.
Yeah.
And we kicked our ball over to like another family's house, and the house we were on was like pretty high up, and then all the houses on the side were kind of smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we kicked the ball over, and so one of us decides, we need to go get this ball because others were bored, right? So my friend or my cousin, he just like parkours that shit, like Spider-Man climbs down the side of the house onto his other family's house, grabs the ball, and he's like, I got it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then this family of like 8 just like stare at him like, what the fuck are you doing on our rooftop? You need to get the fuck off of there right now. Yeah. Let's see. Can't really think of too many crazy stories. I guess it just comes out naturally. I don't really categorize it by this was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So I also read that when it comes to religion, obviously during the whole communist era, religion was not allowed. And it seems like it's still kind of strict when it comes to the religion over there, just because it still has a communist party leader. It's defined as a socialist country. And I've noticed that when it comes to Buddhism is actually rapidly rising. If I look up the stats,
I'm pretty
here,
surprised by that.
Yeah. So in 2009, the population of Buddhism went from 7.9 to 12.2
Holy crap.
in 2014, and it looks like it's going up. And so, yeah, the population of atheism went from 81% to 73% in that same timeline.
Yeah.
As well. You basically come from a background and family who had that background of Buddhism. What are some of the things that you do are kind of interesting? I noticed that you definitely during the New Year's you'll leave a plate out for your ancestors, your previous family, and feed them and do all these things. What are some interesting things that you guys do?
Yeah. So my childhood with Buddhism, like growing up's just been kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of, so my family, we helped out in restoring or pretty much building 2 temples down in California.
Oh, okay.
And pretty much I go there, I pray and I learn, I be taught a little bit, and then I watch Pokemon for like 2 hours while I'm waiting for my mom to
like every Vietnamese child.
Yes. Yeah. But one thing I do like about the culture is so every New Year's we kind of burn, it's like direct translation of what it's called is hell money. So it's like fake money, like paper money that we burn, paper gold bars, paper like fancy clothes and shit like that.
Hell money,
yeah.
Okay.
It's just like afterlife money, I guess. Or
Gotcha.
yeah, it's just pretty much like when we burn it, it kind of sends it to our relatives or people that we care about in the next life. And I'm trying to think back. I'm like, do I like the gesture of doing that, or do I just like burning shit? Being a 10-year-old kid,
Yeah.
It's like, Daniel, go burn this stuff. I'm like, by myself.
Do you think hell money is kind of just the wrong word? You would think maybe heaven money would be a little bit better.
It's dead people money.
Yeah. Yeah, just something like that. I feel like it's being sent to the wrong place. They're like in heaven. They're like, no, you're sending it. We're good. You're going to hell. You bring it to heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you feel like it's influenced you as a person?
Um,
I notice you're very calm and you're very rational when it comes to things, and you're not really the type to explode or freak out. It seems like you have kind of not like the chi, but like kind of more of a center.
Yeah, it's. I try. There are some things that I've just kind of learned about being Buddhist. It does help me kind of go about my day, and I'm trying to think like, yeah, it's definitely affected by, how I was brought up. I'm also thinking it's how I was raised too, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of things I hold on to, like try not to be materialistic, help out friends in need, don't try to show too much favoritism.
Yeah.
Things like that, because all my actions do have a reaction,
Yeah.
and it's just like, how do I want to care about myself through that?
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that in you, and I could kind of just see other people who are Buddhists that they just have a little bit more of a calm in them, a more of just kind of not rationality, but they just kind of examine everything, and they kind of take it in, and they have their own formula of how they do it.
I would like to say that, yeah, I guess you could see that being Buddhist, but I mean, a lot of it's just like the person too. Because there's some Buddhists that are just like, selfish or whatnot.
Yeah.
But majority, yeah, I would say it's they're pretty calm, reserved, and not very irrational.
How's it like meeting the monks?
I love the monks. They're so cool.
What do you guys do? What is your thing?
So, I mean, it varies from person to person, but my the monk that taught me the most, his name is Tai Tentam. He lives in Arizona, and this dude is so cool. Last time I saw him, he's like showing me all the gadgets and stuff he got. I'm like just thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, aren't you supposed to be material, like rid yourself of all material possessions? He's like, nah, man. You see the Samsung Galaxy Gear? Let's go.
Look at my new iWatch. Look at my
he's like showing me up. I'm like, damn, I'm supposed to become a better person, not get better gear.
Yeah.
But no, it's there's this story that he told me a few years back when I went to go visit him in Arizona.
Yeah.
And he says, I came to him, just seeing how he's doing, and then I just talked to him a little bit more. I'm like, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about what it's like to be Buddhist. And he's like, well, let me tell you a story of my life and see if you could pull anything from there. And so he's telling me, like, back during the Vietnam War, he was in the army fighting for, his country and whatnot. His family members all died except for one brother.
Yeah.
And once the war was over, it was his job to protect his brother. And so they escaped to the U.S. And, he's just like, still, I got to take care of my brother.
Yeah.
So he goes out and gets a good job, goes to school, takes care of himself, takes care of his family. And he does so well. Like, back in the 90s, he was making like six figures being, I always forget what position he was working.
Yeah, but he had a high paying job.
Yeah. And it's at that point in his life, his brother's already older and can take care of himself and has a family and everything like that. And he just told me, like, his monk was like, well, why do you need to work? Why do you need all this money? And one choice that you could do is just let go of it all and just not be controlled by those things, by those responsibilities. Not saying, like, don't have any responsibilities, but it's just like kind of like unnecessary stresses in your life. So he told me that, like, he just gave everything away to the community, to whoever needs it. He devoted himself to Buddha, started helping out the community more, passing on the word. And, like, when he told me that story, you just kind of get, like, this small glimpse of relief on what it would be like just to not be worried about pulling in a paycheck, not be worried about, oh, I have to go take care of these people or my family or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit free. Just help people. And that's good enough for you.
Now, do they shave their heads?
Yes.
They do. They all shave their heads.
Yeah, my monk, he jokes with me. He says every single time I see him, he's just like, "Hey, so we're gonna shave your head this time? I got the clippers. Let's go."
Yeah.
Like,
Is there, so why do you have to shave your head? Is it just kind of the codes, or like the practice of it?
yeah, just think of it like having the hair is kind of like vanity. So if you just kind of get rid of it, you just kind of make yourself more uniform to your brother monks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I know, right?
The thought of me going into the mountains and whatever they're kind of dressed up in, I don't know if you know the name of it or whatever. They're kind of gown, or
I usually just call them robes.
Yeah, they're in, like, their robes, bald, being in the mountain, million feet up in the air.
See,
and
that'd
stuff,
be cool
and just meditating and
if
stuff.
you just go up there, meditate, spend your life praying to Buddha, and then you become an airbender afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just have all these like powers and stuff like that. But I've seen they're crazy, and they have a very disciplined mindset. If you think of I'm trying to think what country it is now. It's
Tibet.
The ones that were setting them on fire. No. Who are the monks that were setting themselves on fire? Was that China?
They did it in Vietnam too.
They done it in Vietnam
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, and they just sit there and they just don't flinch.
Yep.
I'd be going and screaming and
Powerful discipline that they
yeah,
have.
yeah. My dispute with Western medicine is that it's very dominant. It's just like, no, this is only it and stuff like that. And I like to get perspectives on both sides, and I like to hear and even practice some of the things in the East and stuff like that. But there's no medicine. I guess there is medicine in the world, but like there's a crazy amount of drugs you would have to take to be that calm.
Maybe.
And to sit there while you're on fire and just like meditating.
I think the message that really should be pulled out of that display is just what is that word I'm looking for? Passive protesting, or
a passive protest.
so like, even if the guy did take like a paralytic or something like that, like he was dead by the time he sat down. I think it's more important to understand the message of that.
Yeah,
like you can protest something and not be aggressive at the same time. And really, that was the message. Like, it would be freaking awesome if I could derive superpowers from meditating.
Yeah.
But I think from meditating, it's more of a spiritual thing instead of like a supernatural thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not necessarily talking about the supernatural, but just having the control and focus on you. Having the ability to relieve a lot of the anxieties that I used to have. And I noticed meditation kind of helped me and discover myself. So instead of just having these crazy things happen to me, like, oh shit, I'm getting anxiety, or oh my god, like these things are happening to me, I need to run to the store and I need to just take a pill to make myself better. And instead, a lot of these things I was able to fix was just to find myself and self-diagnose myself.
Yeah. No, it's among Buddhists, I would say that
diagnosis or
mental health is pretty good, because a lot of what is practiced is like, reevaluating your mindset, like to ask yourself, is this wrong, or trying to figure out like an anxiety. Like, that's good practice of mental health.
Yeah.
And maybe, who knows, whoever decided to, start that meditation with Buddhism.
Yeah.
Maybe they had that in mind.
Yeah.
Because it's like, to have that self-discipline, it does go a long way, and it is very easy to do, but you just have to be self-aware of it and just practice it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think is weird is, how do you feel when, like, throughout history, I don't feel like it necessarily contradicts, but it does kind of sound funny when you hear about these monks sometimes going to war and having these little militias going against certain groups. How do you interpret that or that?
So there is a place for a monk or for Buddhism in war, but not in the sense of like, oh, we got to come up with some guerrilla tactics. We're going to go with the seven lotus Buddha attack.
Yeah.
No. It's more of a sense of, protecting, making sure supplies are there. Like this, it's like taking a bigger step in providing for a community, where compared to warfare tactics.
Say at certain times, even though their general practices are very peaceful, that it is necessary to do those things for the greater good of peace.
Yeah, I think the monks, the way they would react to that, would you be let someone else handle that? That's like hatred that other people are passing on to others. And as a Buddhist, you don't
deflect it.
Yeah,
almost.
You want to deflect that hatred as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they will say, don't attack each other, don't kill each other. But at the same time, you have to prepare for being attacked. And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can do that aggressively or passively or defensively. And I think the way Buddhism kind of would say would be to do it as passively as possible.
I see.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I mean, if you're getting attacked on the street and this guy's, full blown going at you, you have no other.
Yeah.
I mean, you might. I mean, every situation is different, but you don't have a lot of options
it's
besides.
Like if a hurricane comes in, you can't stop it. So you just stay away from it.
Yeah.
So like, what they would do during the war is just move all the families, tell them where to go. Mm-hmm. Make sure they all get there. If they're too tired to carry a baby, then they'll help. Mm-hmm. And that's really what they would do during those times.
I see. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting religion, and it's very fascinating, and just seeing them and their discipline. It's just the discipline is like one of the major things that they have. They have to go without many things. Do they even have sex?
I never asked.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's just like some of the
Sifu.
Yeah.
You ever pop that pussy?
Yeah. Do you? I mean, shaving your head, and I believe that they do give up many things, and that I feel like that is their kind of internal warfare.
Yeah, it's part of the steps, though. I mean, it's like to reach a better state of enlightenment. Mm-hmm. Just give up all material possessions.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. Oh, dude, totally.
That's hard. Like I'm looking at my
it's like
computer
Spencer,
right now.
In order to cleanse yourself, you have to sell all of your stocks. Or give it away or something like that. It's you do that?
It's hard. And I mean, why do you think America is having this issue versus some of the other countries? Because I notice, Vietnam, I guess we'll kind of stay on subject and stuff, but because it seems like that even though a lot of the families in Vietnamese are struggling, they're poor, they don't have a lot of money, their house sucks. I'm just gonna kind of blatantly say it. Their house kind of sucks. I mean, compared to ours, not a lot of room. It's cramped. It's probably hot. A lot of them might not even have AC and like those things like that. But at the end of the day, when you go out with them and stuff, they genuinely just seem a lot happier. And it seems like with us being Americans and having a lot of that stuff, why are we more upset?
Why
are we just kind of more dissatisfied with just life?
I guess when you become accustomed to a certain lifestyle and it's taken away, of course you're happier. But at this day and age, when we want something, we get it.
Yeah.
If we want a new TV or something like that, we order on Amazon. We get it 2 days later.
Yeah.
And then we still complain that it took too long.
Something's wrong,
But it's just like, when you're in a poor country, I mean, you make ends meet, but you don't see it as that. You kind of see it as like, okay, well, I can eat. I'm happy. Mm-hmm. Your standards have changed. Yeah. Or your standards are much lower than what they are now. It's like, man, I ate 8 ounces of this garbage beef that I had sitting in my fridge when I should have just gone to Burger King and grabbed better food or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like we're dissatisfied because of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's one thing, we can assume. But of course, it's like really in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Well, your mom and did your uncle? He came from Vietnam
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah.
Did he escape or did he just come later?
Yeah, he was one of the first to escape out of the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I noticed, some members of your family, they come here, they're relatively successful and they're very happy and they definitely worked hard to see where they're at now. And I always like to talk about is a lot of these people coming from the foreign countries that come over here and stuff because they have something to kind of look up and look forward to. And it seems like a lot of the generation or like the generations previous before us, they had to work hard. Life wasn't as good. There was a lot of struggles and stuff. And now there's not too much struggle. Things are kind of good. And I always say that we have what do you call that? When what's it called when the body attacks you? We kind of have like an autoimmune going on right now, where I feel like things are too good, and people are just getting upset because there's not this internal struggle going along. Because
it's pretty much you're setting a higher set of expectations.
Yeah, and you can go higher, but like not too much higher because when your uncle and your mother and your family left Vietnam and when they came here, they could shoot to the moon. Yep. And it seems like that a lot of us are so close to that now. We don't have much. We don't know what's next, and we think that the moon is like the next point, and so a lot of people get discouraged. They get kind of lazy, and everything else. It just seems like this generation is kind of just chilled out and just it hasn't like pushed further.
It still goes back to what you've become accustomed to. So like, let's say you have a family full of doctors. Chances are you're going to become a doctor. One good example of this would be so you and I have traveled to Moscow together.
Yeah.
And going to another country like that, or to like Russia, things are a lot cheaper there, right? And so like coffee
which is amazing.
Is $1, right? And then at some point during that trip, like a few days in or something like that, we're used to having that coffee cost $1.
Yeah.
And then we go to a place and charge $2, and it was bad coffee, and we're just like, man, this was a complete rip off. I'm pissed. I'm not gonna tip anything like that because this coffee was garbage and it cost more expensive. But at the end of the day, compared to the U.S., that's a cheap coffee.
Oh yeah,
and but we're still getting that mindset where, this is garbage because I had to pay more, even though it was a lot cheaper than what I was used to before. It's just our expectations were set, and then suddenly when that expectation isn't met, we complain about it. It's just natural human behavior. I think.
Yeah, and I think it's therapeutic, and not a lot of people travel.
Yeah,
this is all they know. And so we come here, or we stay here, and we're just kind of, it is what it is and stuff. Then you go to other countries, you're like, holy shit, holy shit, it's amazing back home. I can't wait to go home. And it's so hot. I'm so hungry. I've been walking 30 miles in one day just to go travel around and stuff like that. Yeah, because a lot of these countries can't afford cars, and they just have public transportation, and it's uncomfortable. But I like it because it does make me feel more humble in the sense of that.
It's definitely a wholesome experience to kind of like experience that for yourself, or see someone kind of go through struggle and hardship and be satisfied or content with their actions. It's a very fulfilling thing to see.
Well, yeah, you see people like struggling just even at like the food markets and everything else, and they're probably not making much, and they have to set up cards and everything, and you just hundreds of people just walk by, they're not paying attention to them and everything else. It's kind of sad. And another thing is your eyes open a lot too to a lot of crazy shit that would never be allowed in America, and people think that this place is horrible and in some place, I know there are some bad things that happen, but and kind of what I get into is like the meat markets down over there.
Yeah.
And I was just reading this article earlier about how dog and cat consumption has raised dramatically during the coronavirus.
Yeah, okay, I could believe that. Yeah, I was reading that article you posted on Facebook. They were saying that the reason why dogs and cats were being consumed more over there was because by eating dogs or cat, it'll help you get over like flus or coronavirus or anything like that.
It's like an organic meat almost.
That's just a general. So it's things like that. It's just a general superstition of Southeast Asia. So let's just say like Chinese remedies, things like that. Mm-hmm. Like ginseng's good for you, turmeric's good for you. Like yeah sure.
I'm on board with that. Yeah.
Right? But there are some things that have been sold that are just like even crazier, and I think it's more of a marketing kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Probably, yeah.
So there's this one place. We went on a little tour in Vietnam, in Ha Long Bay. You know, that super famous picture with the giant rocks coming out of the water. I guess around there's a bird that's indigenous to like a very small set of islands. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they take the nests of that bird, like they scrape it off the rocks, and they clean it out, and they boil it into tea or soup. And supposedly it's very healthy for you. Like, they boasted things like, this will make you have more stamina. This will help you not get sick so often. Make you be... The way they kind of sold it was like, you're immortal by drinking this tea. But after watching exactly how those nests are made, it's pretty much the birds regurgitate, like their bile hardens after it leaves their body. And so like Leon and I, we went through that tour, and he's like, all right, so how much is it for this tea? And the woman was like, okay, so for 4 ounces of this, it's about $250 US. And so like, just me being a smug American, we look at each other and we're like, okay, yeah, well, that's understandable. And then afterwards, like, Leon just turns to me. He's like, Daniel, they were going to charge you $250 for bird vomit tea, and you were going to be okay with that? Like, he has a point. He has a point.
Yeah.
But it's just like, even things like that. When I was younger, I had really bad acne. And one of the things that we were told to try, or I was told to try, was bear liver.
Mm-hmm. Vitamin A.
It was absolutely disgusting. I'm not sure if it worked. Mm-hmm. A lot of face projects weren't working, but my skin did clear up afterwards. But this bear liver was just absolutely disgusting. It's super bitter. Who knows if it worked? Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Don't really know. Just kind of going with the faith on that.
Yeah. And do you believe it's kind of stemmed from poverty as well?
I think it's just stemmed from marketing.
Really?
Like, someone just wants to make some money. Maybe there's some form of truth that, I don't know, eating Riley here will help me be immune to coronavirus.
Well, me reading the article and the dog interrupting the podcast, I'm starting to get more tempted to eat Riley.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a good amount of fat on her. So.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But the morality of it is what makes me so curious, because, I mean, if I killed your dog right now, you would, never talk to me. Everybody listening to me would not talk to me. They would think I'm like the most horrible human being in the world. But in other countries like Vietnam, it's widely accepted, and it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, pets over here are regarded in a way higher manner compared to most other countries. The fact that the U.S. has corporations like PETA to kind of say like, hey, you can't abuse these animals, whereas like Vietnam, they don't have PETA. If I go up to someone, I just kill their dog, like the owner might get mad, but there's no other forces to kind of say, hey, that's not okay. Like
it's definitely a cultural thing.
I'd say it's just because there's a bigger penalty for abusing animals over here compared to other countries. Like, if you search on the internet somewhere, there's this dude in China that ties his dog to the back of his car and then just drives on the freeway. And this dog is just dragging like bloody body on the highway.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
It's
about.
horrible, dude. It sickens me. But yeah, it's a lot of people in Asia just they don't really feel the same way we do about animals.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Do you think they feel the same about just life in general? Like, I've seen videos, and this is me just kind of going way deep in the web, because my life is literally on the web for work and everything else. But I notice even human life, they kind of just shrug off a little bit if it's not their family.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's just some other countries. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question to answer because it's like, how do you determine right now? How do you value life?
Mm-hmm.
How do you devalue life? One is a problem not really or not affecting you, or when do you give a fuck when a school gets shot up?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's really tough to say.
But I have seen videos where people just get hit by cars or mopeds and everything else, and everybody's just like, that's
I guess
life, and they
depends
just
on how often it happens.
Well, it doesn't. Isn't there a high rate of people dying in Vietnam because of?
They say about 10 people a day die in Saigon from car-related accidents.
Yeah, and most of them are mopeds as well.
Yeah,
and if anybody's listening, and if they ever go there, one of the biggest shocks is the mopeds just slip wherever they can to get by.
So you remember the Hot Wheels we had back in the 90s where like they're like on tracks and there's like Hot Wheels just dashing across the jump, like about to hit each other.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but on steroids.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this clusterfuck of just vehicles traveling in different directions.
Yes.
And everyone's just skilled enough to dodge each other.
Yes. Yeah. And I was on a moped. It was at the time, me and my girlfriend, we were on the back with this little Asian lady, this tiny little Asian lady, and both of us were bigger than this woman, and we're just going in between semis and everything else, and just going and stuff, along with all these other mopeds, and it was just utter chaos. And I just kind of I didn't close my eyes, but I'm just like, it is what it is. I just accepted it, and I just like went on from it. Like, yeah, and of course, if any person did that here in our state or just our country, they would get a ticket.
Driving.
Yeah, reckless driving. Yeah, and so it's a circus.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like this in Thailand, but definitely in Saigon, if you need to cross the street and there's vehicles are not going to stop for you. Like, they don't care about you feeling safe to cross the street. Pretty much, if you're in Saigon and you need to cross the street, just go and don't stop moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't run, don't stop, just keep going. They'll go around you. It'll be fine.
Yeah. That's the thing. Even our country, we stop for squirrels.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
We stop for everything, and they don't stop for anything.
Yeah.
I don't know is everybody just in a hurry? Is everybody just, I'm just trying to dissect this and kind of go down the rabbit hole, but like, are they in a hurry? Do they just don't give a shit?
Maybe it's just like the stereotypical Asian thing where we just want to be as cool as possible. It's like, yeah, I could just drive like a normal human being and be safe and caring about others, or I can go run up on the sidewalk, dodge 17 people, get back into traffic, and then
they do that. Yeah, they go on the sidewalks as well. Yeah,
and then I'm like at my destination like 2 minutes earlier than I was expecting to.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's just what they do. Well, if anybody knows Asian traffic, it's just all bad. It's bad. If they think Seattle, San Francisco, LA, or anything is bad, I mean, at the hot points of traffic, it's straight up terrible.
Yeah, totally agree.
And I'm assuming a large percentage of vehicles on the road are mopeds, right?
Yeah. I remember seeing like some rice rockets in Saigon, and I'm just thinking like, so you have like a 200cc engine or something like that. You can go up to like 200 miles an hour on that thing, but you're in Saigon, which you can barely. You run into so many people all the time. It's like, why the fuck do you?
It would
have
definitely be more than 200 cc's. I'll correct you.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no,
Yeah,
I get you. Yeah.
or even having a BMW, like a really nice car in Saigon. It's like, why? They
So what I know, and to interrupt you here, what I know about it being in China and over in Thailand as well is it's a class thing.
Yeah.
It's basically like, hey, you guys are just rolling around on mopeds. Here's my Mercedes, BMW, my R1, whatever it is that they have, and that is kind of more of them showing off. And they always go to the nightclubs. And people they're in their entourage and everything.
Yeah,
so that's kind of what they
one
do.
thing that I think would totally suck is that dealing with that many people, like with no order, like you're gonna get dings on your car.
Yes.
It's like
100%.
Yeah, it's like
Most of them I see ride by have a bunch of scrapes and dings. Yeah.
It's just like it makes the car look shitty.
Yeah,
It's like
and the thing is they probably don't care because like if I had I mean, I have kind of an older car, but if I had a BMW or something like that, if I get a ding, I'd be fucking pissed and embarrassed if I had it over there. It's just like, oh, that's what it is. They don't clean them either that much. What I notice.
Yeah. There's like no car wash that I've ever seen over there. Like, I mean, like they water the streets. Is that good enough? I have no idea, but
yeah, that's one funny thing I noticed. We never water our streets. I've never seen city in our really water
so they just kind of water it to keep the dust level or the dirt level.
Oh yeah, that's
down.
right. Yeah, they do have a lot of dirt and dust like around there.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just from it being too hot.
Yeah. And maybe there is a city like around us that has it, but I haven't seen anything in California or anything.
Yeah,
like
they have like street cleaners that come every once in a while, but that's pretty much to get rid of the dirt that they throw on the roads in Seattle to make them less slippery when it's snowing or icy.
I do see that, but not the ones we're talking about where they're literally just like pressure washing the street pretty much. And they even do it in Russia too. I mean, you saw that too. Yeah, they were just like.
So to all the listeners out there, Moscow is the only place on Earth where you can walk through a puddle and your shoes come out cleaner for it.
Yeah.
Like they wash their roads and with soap. Like it is crazy.
Yeah, that was another funny thing I noticed. But we don't have anything really there.
I think we just had too many people complaining about it. Like if we did, like it's like the soap is bad for the Puget Sound or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that going to in our drains and like stuff like that. That's another thing too that you want to talk about. Not environmentally friendly. They don't give a shit.
Oh yeah, in Vietnam, hell no, dude. That I would never drink that water. Like they say, if you're traveling to that country, do not drink, or just drink bottled water, right?
Yeah, almost any country. I'm trying to think.
A lot of things that people get caught up with, and like they're better about it now, but back in the 90s when I went, it's the ice in water.
So
the ice
for ice.
Yeah, they use their tap water to make the ice, and I guess freezing it doesn't get rid of those bacteria that fuck you up.
No, it's kind of more of a boiling thing. I mean, especially for more of the dangerous ones.
Yeah, surprisingly, my brother and I have never had to deal with that, which I'm sure it sucks.
Oh, the sickness of it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we'll like gladly just dunk our head in a river or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's just we played it safe, and even if there was like a slip up like that in the smaller towns, we weren't affected by it. So I mean, just gotta be thankful. Last time I went with Leon, he ate some squid at one of the ferries, the sketchy ass ferries.
Oh yeah, he ate at a ferry.
And oh my gosh, this guy, I've never seen or heard someone suffer so much. Like, I don't know if you remember in Dragon Ball Z, where like Goku is like going through a heart condition and he's just like sleeping in bed. He's like screaming his ass. I was like,
yeah.
That was Leon for like a solid night.
Oh,
just
God.
like writhing in pain. Looks like he's going through some sort of a trial where his stomach is being burnt off.
Yeah, that's my fear, is having some bad like bug or parasite or something like that where it fucks me up and just ruins my trip too. I think I'm more just fearing that I'm just like, hey, I just paid a bunch of money to go 4,000 miles away to wherever else
just to get dysentery.
and just that's and then just the whole time you're just fucked up off something. So I think that's one thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. So I love being adventurous with foods, like with all the street foods and whatnot that they offer. But that's one thing I gotta watch out for. It's just like, if I eat this, am I gonna not feel good in the morning? How adventurous do I want to be?
Yeah.
And so with who's that one food critic that eats like all the exotic foods?
Oh, it's not
Andrew Zimmerman or something like that, or
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, what I do is I just set like a budget on how much crazy food I will eat the entire trip. Because it's like, can I rest this day? Am I going to ruin our trip if I get sick? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just things like that you just got to be careful with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, do you feel like it's pretty sketchy when it comes to even going to the bars and drinking at some places? Do you feel like you're going to get roofied or anything like that? Because that is a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. But it's not very common.
Yeah.
So most of the cities that we went to, they were pretty big and they're pretty nice, but I don't think I would get roofied over there, to be honest. Yeah, because like whenever something's served, it's like beer is served in the bottle, and then like they pop it open, and you hear the seal being broken. Yeah. But with liquor, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you feel more safe in the bigger cities or the smaller cities?
I think the smaller cities.
Really? Why is that?
Just being around less people, I would say.
It's too crowded.
Yeah.
Do you have I think it's called agoraphobia or whatever, where
like being in crowds?
Yeah, you're just like where you don't have a lot of control and you're just kind of in this wave or river of people.
I think deriving enjoyment is kind of linked to my safety.
Okay.
So it's like, if I'm in like a more, like I get, maybe I do because when I'm in a more controlled environment, I do feel a lot better. Like compared to being in like a mosh pit versus like a lounge, you know?
Yeah. I see that. Yeah. At first I was more scared to go to the smaller cities, and I don't know. Yeah, I definitely felt more safe, and maybe that might be it. Just there's a little bit more control.
Yeah.
In your life, but also I feel like if I ever got sick or if there was ever a need to go to the hospital, I would want to be in Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah. So that's one thing that was kind of weird, and I'm still kind of questioning on like why they call it those two different things now. So from what I've noticed, a lot of Vietnamese Americans who were like pretty much came to the U.S., they call it Saigon, but everyone over there call it Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, I mean, when you look up on Google, it's Ho Chi Minh. Yeah.
So I guess that's the official. Maybe it's just the communist thing.
Yeah. So Ho Chi Minh, Nguyen is in his name as well. Well, Nguyen is like 75% of Vietnamese people. Yeah,
it's pretty much one of the last like biggest dynasties.
Yeah, Trong, Nguyen. Yeah, it's something like the biggest name. But Nguyen is just like outranks it dramatically. But he was the previous leader who died, and that's the name is named after him. But you were saying something like if you were pro-communist, you would say Ho Chi Minh. Yeah. And so I'm assuming your mom says Saigon instead of Ho Chi Minh. Yeah.
Most of pretty much all of my family says Saigon.
Yeah. Do you feel like there is a big pro-communist socialist group in Vietnam? Do you feel after the war, do you feel like some of the newer aged are accepting more to it or unaccepting to the old?
Yeah, from what I've seen, no one really talks about that. Maybe they're just like living their life and it's like what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I know your mom is.
She's very big anti-communist. Like she sees that communist symbol and she gets mad.
Yeah.
Like when she visits her home village, like there's still that like propaganda, like loudspeakers going out through.
Is it like every morning?
Every morning at 5 a.m.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a heavy sleeper. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, that thing goes off every day.
yep.
Damn.
Yeah.
And it's probably been the same thing.
Maybe.
This whole time. Yeah.
I've never actually heard it, so.
Oh yeah, because you sleep through it. And
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Leon, he probably would be able to tell you more, but he was the one that would hear it. Yeah,
Gotcha.
we stayed there for 3 nights.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
hear
it's
it every
just in
single morning.
Saigon, Ho Chi Minh.
I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of creepy.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. I don't even know how I would feel if the national anthem went off at 5. First of all, 5 o'clock fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I would be happier, 8:30. I'm like, okay, I got to get up anyways. Say, can you see? Like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only like 2 reasons I would get up at 5 a.m. 1 for work, and 2 to make an early morning flight. That's it.
Yeah. Is the culture over there? Are they early birds usually?
From what I noticed, no. Like when I was in Saigon, usually traffic kind of started around 9 a.m.
Yeah.
But most, I don't know. I'm sure like people like get up and usually get to work by like 8 or 7 or something like that. But one thing that was kind of weird to me was that, you know how like in Seattle, bars and nightclubs get really busy on weekends and Fridays. It's kind of seems a bit off in Saigon. Like there'd be like partying a lot more on a Wednesday, compared to a Saturday. So that rooftop bars or club I was telling you about with on top of the Saigon Trade Center.
Yeah.
Went there on a Wednesday, popping. Went there that Saturday, just dead.
Weird.
like there's like maybe half of the place was like kind of filled up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just it was a little odd to me. I was asking about it with some of my friends, and they were like, "No."
I noticed drinking is just kind of a common thing that happens over there, just in general. Like morning drinking, day drinking, everything. It drinking just kind of a common thing that like happens over there.
Yeah. The age limits, I don't know. It's more on the community to make sure that their children don't follow down a bad path. So it's like instead of like police authorities like arresting teenagers that are drinking, it's like adults are saying, "Hey, you shouldn't be drinking. You gotta be more responsible." It's
what is the limit over there?
I don't know.
You've probably seen some young kids probably drinking though.
I was there on New Year's one time, and we went to a club with a 10-year-old girl that was in our party because she wanted to join along and she didn't want to leave us. Like, there's just a 10-year-old girl just dancing on the dance floor. All the other American women are just like, "Oh my God, there's a girl here. I got to dance with her."
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't drinking or anything like that, but it's just like, damn, that is something you don't expect to see.
Yeah, I'm seeing right here is 18, but people are saying they're just like, if you have money, you can drink.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. It's now, do you think the family structure over there, do you think your mom was strict, and I know a lot of other Vietnamese mothers here in America are very strict. Is it like that over here, or is it like that here because they've seen, and went through a lot of the crazy shit in Vietnam, and they came here and they're like, no, you're going to have a fucking good life, and I'm going to pound that into you and not have you I want to progress, not regress from my family's future.
I'm not sure. I mean, for me, my mom, she was pretty, I would actually say she was pretty relaxed. It was my dad that was more strict on me with my school.
Are you kidding? Your mom talking about school and everything? God, I felt
yeah,
like
but she would talk about that. Hers was like an annual review, right? My dad was like a weekly review. My dad was more on my case than my mom. But my other family members, they were pretty strict on their children.
Yeah, it seems like all of them tend to become, programmers, doctors, and everything.
I mean, of course, like we always want the best for our kids. Like No, I don't think any parent is super happy about their kid being a manager at McDonald's.
Oh yeah, of
I
course.
mean, yeah, life is what it is. You gotta be supportive.
But I feel like they're a little bit more passive. They're just like, whatever makes you happy, honey, or just like, as long as you pay the bills and kind of all that stuff. I feel like it's a little bit more passive.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of Asian families and dealing with CPS has just been kind of a big thing.
Really?
Yeah. So,
I could see it.
yeah. So, whenever I get sick, my mom does this one Chinese remedy or Vietnamese remedy. That's where they take a slice of ginger and some balm and just like rub it on my back to burst the capillaries on the skin.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt, but it's just like, when your body gets damaged, for your body to repair itself, it releases white cells and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that helps you get over like colds and sickness. So why won't she like do that to me? Like rub my back. My back looks like a bloody Christmas tree.
Oh.
And so I'm sitting on the monkey bars, and the teachers, they see
your shirt's kind of hanging out and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So
yeah.
they think I'm being bruised and beaten in a very orderly manner.
Like, jeez.
So they would call child protective services on my classroom, and then they pull or try to target me, but not directly. So then they ask the whole class, like, this is what child abuse is. Let us know if anyone's hurting you in any way. And so they were trying to target
someone
me.
Indirectly rat you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they want me to say it instead of them kind of guessing at it. So
Oh, interesting. So that happened.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, that's that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
even I notice in Asian families and even Vietnamese families as well that hitting your kids just
Yeah, it's
with a belt, with a stick, bamboo, whatever.
to be honest, I think it's the same thing as like spanking your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more of like the gesture is upsetting to them, and you just need to kind of get the point. Like I was totally like reflecting on it. Yeah, I was kind of out of control kid, and I'm totally fine with the beatings that I got.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, my mom gave me 20 lashes or anything like that, but
Yeah.
she had me like just sit in a corner and not talk. Just take time to just relax and chill
Yeah.
and not be so out of control.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, looking back, yeah, my mom did what she could, and I feel I turned out pretty well. I was thankful for it. So.
Do you think a little bit more physical punishment has? Do you feel like if you had like kind of like a lack of physical punishment, do you feel like you would not be where you're at today? Do you think it would have been worse, better, or?
If I didn't get punished like that?
Yeah, if you just kind of had a little bit more relaxed childhood when it comes to you getting away with stuff.
I kind of think I would be a lot less centered.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's like things I would do would be a lot more unfiltered.
Do you feel like that has been better for you?
Since then?
No, I'm just saying, like, you feeling more centered versus you theorizing that you would be less centered. Do you feel like that has stepped you in a more positive direction?
Yeah, I mean, there's always curiosities on like, if I didn't do this, how would I end up?
Of course, yeah.
This theory crafting, but
Yeah.
I kind of feel like from a mental health point of view, that does help me.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like maybe for some people though it could break them a little bit. It could cause a lot of resentment, and it could kind of make people more lost, I guess.
Yeah.
When it comes to it.
I guess that depends on the person's severity of punishments.
Yeah, of course.
I'm sure there's a lot of factors to play, but with my family, my parents, no, I don't hold any ill will for them.
Yeah. Are you just saying this because you're on the podcast right now?
Please, she's never gonna hear of this.
Yeah, she probably, yeah. Jackie, subscribe to me. Yeah, no, I think the whole family, even just the Vietnamese family structure is very interesting, and the multi-generational thing too is very interesting.
Are you talking with the title system?
No, well, I'm just talking about grandma, mother, father, son, kind of like style household or whatever, the multi-generational kind of lifestyle and stuff. I always thought that was interesting. I mean, I kind of see more benefits in it, but I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but having like a grandma watch over while she gets like free housing and stuff.
Yeah.
And they take care of her later on, and the grandma takes care of the kids, and and so on. But you didn't really experience that much.
No.
You had other family members living.
Yeah, but my household was just more the nuclear kind of
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you have relatives that.
Yeah, when I was younger, my dad, when he married my mom, he played a big part in taking care of, my other cousins, when their parents weren't doing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's like a small period of time where like my dad just got married to my mom, and there's 3 teenagers suddenly in this house, and he's like giving everyone some money, so they can go out and have fun and stuff like that. So that's very big of him to do.
Yeah, he's probably more of a man than I am. If I had just, a few teenagers just moving to my house, be like, hey, I want to go out to the club. Can I get $20? Be like, fuck you. You're not my kid. Get out of here.
It's like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, do the fucking dishes, fucking cook. Dude, do something, get a job. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Right?
Yeah, I feel like maybe that might change, like, down the road and stuff. But yeah, just imagining, other family members coming in and doing all that stuff. I don't know, how I would feel, but again, I'm not married and I don't have any kids yet, so that probably might change down the road.
It's kind of funny. So like, since my dad helped out so many of our cousins, and they all call him Uncle John, right? Even my mom's sisters call my dad Uncle John, because like everyone's been calling him that. It's like
yeah.
Like one of my aunts who's older than my dad still calls my dad Uncle John.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I kind of found that funny. But.
Yeah, that was funny. I think we're pretty much gonna wrap up here. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything that you broadcast or you do? Any GitHub? Are you trying to get some more programming work or something like that? So
currently I am a systems engineer at a company called Seattle Genetics, and a lot of what I've done is I'm trying to get into software development. So, if there's anyone out there with a project where they need a developer, my name is Daniel Bell. You can find me at github.com/Daniel BEO.
Yeah, I'll copy your information on the comment section.
Yeah, just
as well.
looking to get some experience
and maybe play some Smash Brothers against you too.
Oh snaps!
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm definitely excited to go to Vietnam. Hopefully, maybe this September. I don't know what we'll talk about.
Yeah.
I know we were a little drunk and we were like, yeah, let's go September.
It's the best time to make those plans.
Yeah, I know the border's open right now, and if anybody wants to comment on it, let us know how it is over there. I don't believe there's a quarantine going on. I think they're just like, hey, come here and fucking spend your money.
They have 0 deaths over there, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, thank you for coming on, and see you later, man.
All right. Thank you very much.